I am a coach. I coach people on how to build their personal brand on LinkedIn. This is a way of serving, and through serving you can sell as well. But the first step is to give before you take anything. Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's why we have beliefs, opinions, and values. They're not all the same. Some of them are shared, some of them are not.
Where do you see personal brand in the next 5 years?
And doesn't mean like to go viral and be famous. It means to create a relationship with the audience that you're building and have that community, because without brands, everyone's posting content, which even a picture, a story is still content. So then you go against so much competition and clutter. Not even competition, but like clutter and noise, and it's hard to break through. So I would say if you're there.
So welcome. Today we have Pia, and I met her at BWork as well. Almost all the guests on the podcast I've met at BWork, but I guess all the like-minded people are there, and there I can find easily all the perfect candidates for the podcast to join us. We again have some ice cream, still not sponsored, unfortunately. We're still waiting for that, so we're not going to advertise any names, not this time.
No, that's a cute one. Looks like a present box.
Yeah, exactly. So we got both pistachio. She said last time it's her favorite, so we went with pistachio. And I'll let Pia continue and tell us exactly, while we're being thrown with leaves, tell us exactly what she's doing at the moment and why she decided to come and do that in Bali. Welcome.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much for the intro. I am a coach. I coach people on how to build their personal brand on LinkedIn, specifically how to write impactful content, to build their authority, to build a reputation online, and to attract more clients and leads through their authentic self. And for me, Bali was a temporary choice, let's say. I came here with the idea that I'm going to stay for about a month and then I'll go back to Barcelona when I was living prior. I think it just got to my heart. The people here are amazing, as you said, a great community. And that made me stay.
Nice. How did you get into the whole coaching thing?
That's a great question, because it's actually not how I started it. So I started as a ghostwriter. So I built an agency where it was a completely done-for-you service for clients. But then I realized no one is better than yourself at telling your story. So I was like, okay, how can I empower people to tell their stories themselves so that they can show up in a more authentic way and give that feeling to their audience that, that sounds like me, that feels like me. I'm comfortable sharing those things. I feel empowered. So this is when I got to coaching.
So if, let's say, for example, you go for a client, do you physically tell them what to write in their bio and what kind of content they should make, or how do you mean that you want them to present themselves in their profile?
So I don't tell them exactly what to do, but I give them a system, a content creation system that you can use to save time, content calendar, a strategy depending on what their goal is. So some people are looking to build their audience and they're not looking to monetize anything. Some other people are looking to attract more leads. So then they would focus on more lead generation type of content while mixing it with, personal shares that builds their authority. So it's not a one size fits all. So what I empower them with is giving them the right tools. So as I said, systems, templates, frameworks that they can use, adjust, and apply to their own brand.
And if you get a new client on, what will your structure be of how you start to obviously have a call with them to see what their plans is, what they want to do, and then from there on they have another call once a week, or
you mean how
what's
the coaching is structured?
Yeah,
right. So I have an 8-week program, and then that's a group setup. So there are pre-recorded materials, training that you can watch at your own pace.
Okay.
And then every week I run 2 calls a week. Now, not both of them fit all the time zones. So if you're in Bali or in Asia, you're lucky and you can choose both of them. But if you're in Europe, it's going to be one that suits your time zones. If you are in the States, it's going to be another one that suits your time zone. So this is how I run them. And then it's also one-to-one option.
If, for example, if someone else wanted to get into something like coaching, not necessarily in LinkedIn, obviously everyone has their own specialities and skills. How would you tell them to approach it so that they can start to earn money from coaching someone in
I
their
would
own?
say sell before you build. First, see demand and product market fit. And actually, when I started, I didn't even have anything like planned. So I was actually on a call with a client that was trying to pitch for the agency services, but she was CMO, so she was the C-level in the company. It's like, well, actually, I want to learn how to do this. Do you have a coaching program, or do you do this?
Oh, okay.
And I didn't have it, but I was like, well, yeah, sure. So I was like, we can start in 2 weeks' time. So in 2 weeks, I was always like 1 week ahead. And that was the first time when I basically tapped into coaching. And my advice for anyone that wants to start coaching, I would say validate your offer with 3 clients. So if 3 people say yes, you can help 3 people with your offer, then go ahead and build bigger and better. But start with an MVP. Start with something that can get them from A to B, but without overthinking so much the details. Because what you don't want to do is to spend 4 months building something that you don't even know if it's demand for or if it's going to sell. Because the moment you onboard clients and start working with them, even though your product is not finished, you get to understand how to build and tailor based on them, not based on what you think you should do.
And the questions that they have as well.
Yeah, the problems, what they're struggling with, and you can help them better that way.
Something I'm busy with at the moment is I'm also like 99% finished with franchise owner training and all of that content. And now obviously I'm getting franchise people on board. So now they're asking me questions, and now I also learn, okay, wait, let's add a video of this. And I've also been adding on the sales training because I still get questions there as well. And then I try and boost that as well. So the stuff just never stops, in my opinion.
Right,
obviously, but it's a good thing. The longer I continue to add value to it, the better it will get eventually.
And the more you can optimize on the way, because you get to, you get to get feedback from the people inside. And I think that's also another important thing, asking them questions. What do you like, what you don't like, what would you change, how do you feel about this, about that? And then based on what they say, you tailor that way, because most likely if someone has a need, someone that's similar to them would have a similar need. So when they join the program, that already addresses what they're looking for and makes it more valuable. And the more valuable it is, the more you can charge as well.
I believe that if one person says something, then there's 10 other that thinks it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
So as soon as someone tells me or asks me one thing, then I take it a lot more seriously, and I actually believe that it should be more that just didn't want to come out and ask or raise the hand, because a lot of people, they do like to rather keep it for themselves for some reason. I guess that's all just human. We don't like to stand out, or most of us. I think some people do like to stand out.
I'm glad you addressed that, because that's a really big concern in personal branding. Like, okay, well, I want to be known for, being the expert in the room, but I don't want to put myself out there. So it's a general, common fear that all of us have, because, well, if you think about it, we all want to be socially accepted. We all want to be, we don't want to be judged. And that fear of what if people don't like me, or what people don't resonate with me, it's really valid. And we all have that. I had that in the beginning too. It's like, oh, should I share this? Is it too much? What people think, But at the end of the day, the most important thing is to remember that by sharing your own experience and by sharing your knowledge, your skills with others, you help them. And then this is a way of serving, and through serving, you can sell as well. But the first step is to give before you take anything.
I had in the franchise meetings, I had one guy that signed up, and he told, because obviously I also asked them questions like, what advertisement did you see on what platform, just so that I know where it's working. And then he told me, I asked him what was his reason that he decided that he wants to get on board, and he said, it's because of me. I'm like, what? And he said,
there you go,
no,
that's your brand.
Yeah, he said your personality and things like that. I'm like, okay, cool, thank you.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. So yeah, I was also a bit surprised, because you always expect it's because of the product, or because of this, or because of how you convince them in the advertisement or whatever.
Yeah, but not anymore. That's why, personal brands are so big now, and that's why, social selling is so big, because it starts with building a relationship. And then if you think about it, you have a stranger, and on one side of the spectrum, and then you have a client, right? But from stranger to client, you have some steps in between that you need to fulfill. So people need to first know you, like you, trust you, to be able to buy from you. And then this is exactly what happened with this person you mentioned, right? They know you, they like you, and the moment they like you, it's much easier to trust someone that you like than someone you don't know and you don't like, right? So this is where it comes of like alienating all the people that don't resonate with your beliefs, but that's okay, because at the end of the day, you're looking to work with and build a community with people that they're alike, or people that they resonate, or you resonate with them, right? So from that perspective, it doesn't even matter if someone doesn't agree with you or you are a bit polarizing, right? Because the aim is never to be liked by 100% of people. 90% is fine.
So this is something that I've been thinking of sometimes, but I never wanted to execute it. But I think you will be the perfect person to give me advice on this. There's, for example, like controversial things that you can say in your content. Some things that you just mentioned now, like it might make some people upset if you say this. I also know that it's content like that that does very well because it gets engagement from the people, negative or positive. Some people might comment something bad, and then someone else will come and say, hey, no, you are wrong. And then the conversation just goes, and obviously the algorithm likes that engagement. So would you suggest that any of the viewers, if they have something controversial that they feel, should they be transparent in their content and say that, or should they try and avoid any possibility of a negative opinion?
Right, that's a great question, and I'm glad you asked, because so when you build your brand, it needs to come from within. It needs to be authentic and to represent who you are. Meaning that even these like controversial beliefs, and it's okay to share them as long as it doesn't hurt someone, you know. And I don't mean like hurting their feelings. No. It's a principle in psychology that's called us versus them, and the need of belonging. So that's why in sports teams it works really well, right? Okay. That's why you have, when it's a football match or a sports match, you have teams and people are really like us versus them, right? Or when you see like all this, like nutritional trends like carnivore versus vegans, right? It's really polarizing, and it's no harm, to be on a side or the other, but obviously you're gonna alienate some people. Now, as long as you don't hurt anyone with your opinion, it's okay to share it and not to think like, oh, I should say this or I should say that, because the moment you're trying to filter so much, you lose yourself and you lose your essence. And then it's so hard to show up as someone that you're not, because it's gonna become tiring, it's gonna become inauthentic, and people can feel it. And I would say, rather than trying to be perfect on paper, be you and attract the people that resonate with who you truly are.
Okay. And in the sense of, for example, let's say me with business content, if there's someone popular, I know this is also like a popular thing that people do, that piggyback on them, like bigger creators, and let's say I jump on Robert Kawasaki. I agree with a lot of things that he says, but there is one or two that I don't agree with. Obviously, he's a lot bigger and richer than me, so he probably knows a lot more. But if I make content where I'm like, I don't agree with this thing that he's saying,
that's okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's why we have beliefs, opinions, and values. They're not all the same. Some of them are shared, some of them are not, but that's okay. And a good example is Alex Hormozi. If you look the way he's built his brand, he's like super straightforward, no BS, just to the point, right? And is this gonna hurt some people and maybe like make them feel like, oh, this is a bit too much, I don't like this guy? Yeah, but there's so many other people that like that. And I think that's the most important thing, to be yourself and to feel like you're showing up in a way that represents who you are truly. And what you mentioned, that's called borrowing authority. So you can borrow it in a, well, not negative way, because I don't want to put it like that, because I don't think it's negative, but in a way where it's like more controversial, more a hot take of like, oh, this is what people think, but actually this is what I believe, and it's quite different. Or you can take an idea that you resonate with from a bigger creator and boil it down to your own understanding and your own experience and share that, but mentioning the bigger creator. So this is how you basically borrow that authority from them, but you take your kind of credits for it. And actually had a post yesterday, I wrote this yesterday about smart imitation. So, at the end of the day, we cannot reinvent the wheel right now. Whatever I'm telling you today, you might maybe heard it to someone else or someone else said it already, right? But we can basically take something that's already there and filter it to our own life filter, our own vision, our own experience and expertise, and bring a fresh perspective on it based on how we see things. And that's going to resonate more people. And, this is how basically humanity evolved. It was invention, imitation, and then imitation, right?
Where do you see things like the personal brand in the next 5 years? Do you think it's going to just get bigger and bigger and bigger?
Yeah, for sure. I really see it like booming. I mean, it's already like increasingly, everyone wants it, everyone needs it. People realize that's not like a nice to have anymore. It's not like, oh, I'm a celebrity, so I need a personal brand. It's more of like, well, if I want people to trust me and to have a connection with what I'm doing, what I'm selling, what I'm saying, I need to build my brand. And doesn't mean like to go viral and be famous. It means to create a relationship with the audience that you're building and have that community. Because without brand, everything is a commodity. Like why you chose this ice cream and not another one, right? It's the brand that makes it different, and it's the brand that you pay more for. So where I see it in 5 years, I believe it will go to a place where, and that's already happening with sponsored content. People, I think, will not only invest in companies anymore, but will invest in personal brands. And they would take, not exactly equity, but will take basically a percentage of those earnings of these creators when they invest in them. And why I'm saying that is because I see it a lot of sponsored content rather than paying for ads, especially for LinkedIn, because the ads are more expensive.
Sure.
Rather than paying for ads that you don't know if it's gonna, reach the right audience, if it's gonna work, you're gonna have a good ROI. People started, companies, especially SaaS companies, started paying for sponsored content through creators that already have an engaged community. It's a relevant audience, and it's an audience, and this is the most important thing, that trusts them. So when I have an audience of 27,000 followers now, and then you have a product, and then I go and be like, hey guys, I've been trying this, I really like it, this is how I use it, I also have a discount code, join today. You are more likely to believe me rather than seeing an ad about the same thing, because people trust people. And that's a big leverage where you can leverage brand.
So if someone don't have any sort of personal brand at the moment, but they also don't have any idea what to base their personal brand on, what would you suggest to them? Like they should just try and build a personal brand without having something on it?
I would say,
or first find something and then build a personal brand on that?
Well, you don't need to have a business to build your brand, to be honest, because it's your personal brand, not your professional brand. And so I would say, like, start by, if you don't have an offer yet, so you don't have something to sell and you don't have something to monetize, or you're not looking to monetize, I would say start creating and sharing content for yourself in the past. Where were you 6 months ago, a year ago, 3 years ago? Because most likely there are people that they are in the same place where you were at before, and they're looking to be where you are today. So go back and think about, everything that helped you build the skill set you have, the mistakes you've made, the lessons you've learned, what you do differently, what you do the same, how to do certain things, how not to do certain things. And that's the content that will create an audience, because people will start resonating with it. And start from there. Later on, you can take it in any direction you want to go. If you have a product later on or an offer, it's much easier to leverage what you've built in a community that's already engaged and trusts you than go from zero.
Yeah, but I do think everyone has at least one hobby as well.
Absolutely.
So I think they can always just record what they're doing as like their hobby. The other day, my friend Revel and I, we were walking in Seminyak, and there's that little, at that mall, Seminyak Square or something they call it, And it's all the little local shops, stall thingies, I don't know what to call it. And there was a guy engraving with like sharp thing on a piece of bamboo, and then with like a roasted bean or something, and he colors it in afterwards. And
Love that.
like he showed us, and as he's making it, and it's amazing. And we tried to convince him because Revel is in like media marketing, so he obviously also knows the power of advertising online. So we tried to tell the guy like, hey, you should start like a TikTok and just
Put it out there.
yeah, it's not more work. You just put the phone there and you're just doing what you're doing in anyway. Just record how you're sketching this thing.
Yeah.
And obviously he didn't understand the reasoning behind it. And
Yeah. Also, I feel maybe it's like the language barriers as well, because it's true, people here are really, really artistic and talented and creative. And it's amazing to see all this like handicraft and, you know, everything that they're building, and it's quite impressive. But yeah, it's also sad in a way that it's not so common to understand here the power of marketing and the power of advertising and the power of story as well. Because imagine how many powerful stories are behind those people that create those amazing crafts and products.
You can always like tell how he, while he was drawing it, you can explain how he learned to do it, or
how he started,
where
why
the
he's doing
idea
it, why
came
he
from.
likes it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if there's more people doing it or if it's just him, but I've seen those things in South Africa. Like a lot of years ago. So when I saw it here, I'm like, hey. And I remember someone said that it came from Bali.
Yeah.
So maybe it's the same guy, or maybe there's more people doing it.
You see, that's such a powerful, would be such a powerful story. And that's the thing with storytelling, is more, everyone has a story. And when people come to me and like, well, I don't know what to share, I don't have any cool story. I was like, you think you don't, but everything has, like, any idea can be impactful if you know how to make it impactful. It can even be, I don't know, I walk on the street and this happened. That can be an impactful idea if you know how to wrap it up in a valuable piece of content and learning. This is my favorite part about branding, like stories and telling your story and empowering people, inspiring people through your story,
like
and
your,
also getting inspired by others.
Do you mean your life story, or what do you mean with your story? Is it like just how you learn something, or like physically your life from start to finish?
Well, there are two things in storytelling. One is the story, second is the narrative. So a story, it's something that has a beginning and an end. And a narrative, it's an open loop. It doesn't have a narrative. For example, the American dream. It's a narrative. Who knows when the American dream started, when it's going to end? You know, it's not a story, right? Whereas a story is like, oh, I did this, I started this way, this what happened, like the hero journey, right? And then this was the end. A good end or a bad end, whatever that is, but it has an end, right? So your story, it's, you once have your narrative, but then you have like multiple stories. And the best way to look at it, this is what I say to my clients as well, is look at your transformations, right? Look where you are at, look where you are today, what happened in between, because there are so many stories you can tell from there, right? So for example, from being employed in a 9-to-5 to living my best life in Bali and working online and building an agency, right? Or from being overweight to running a marathon, or from drinking every day to quitting alcohol and building an 8-figure business. Like this kind of stories where you basically flexing, but you humble flex, because you also bring in the whole, like, you know, emotional part of it. And like, it was hard, I went through this, I was broke, I did this, right? And that's like a humble flex, because you're not like, oh, I made $1 million, good for you, right? It's like, I went through all these things, this is what I've learned from it, this is how you can do it too. And this is how it becomes valuable for your audience and for your reader.
That's good. Very valuable information. So if someone wants to get started, let's say they're sitting in a cubicle in some office now, on what platform would you suggest they go into? I know it's probably tricky because some platforms is better for certain things, so it will probably depend on what their story is.
Right, yeah, exactly. Well, maybe I'm also a little bit biased because what I do is LinkedIn and I spend a lot of time there. But yeah, you're right. It depends really what you're more comfortable with, what you're looking for. If you want to do this for, you know, also business reasons, you want to grow your business, it depends where your audience is. So you need to meet them where they're at, right? So if you're in B2B, if you're a service provider, go for LinkedIn, go for Twitter as well. Well, X right now. But I would say LinkedIn is the best place to start if you are in B2B, especially if you have a SaaS product or, any marketing service, any service provider. If you're a coach, and you work with businesses and not direct clients, then LinkedIn is the best place to start, because even though it reached 1 billion users, only 3 to 5% of people are creating content, and maybe a fraction of these are creating content that is not AI generated. It's actually good, and they're posting regularly throughout the week. So it's such a small percentage of people that you're competing with that it's much easier to grow than TikTok or Instagram, where everyone and their grandma has an account and they're posting their dog and they're, everyone's posting content, which even a picture, a story is still content. So then you go against so much competition and not even competition, but like clutter and noise, and it's hard to break through. So I would say if you're there, start with that. If you're B2B, well, if you're in e-com and you have a product, I would say user-generated content and TikTok is the best for this. That's the easiest to grow, because again, you're talking to the layman audience, right? And you're talking to the masses that they're not necessarily business-oriented. So if you're selling a cup, right, you're not going to sell it on LinkedIn. So you're going to sell it on TikTok most likely. If you're truly passionate about video, and if you have the passion and the capacity and the patience to edit videos, then go for YouTube. That's great. It's maybe a little bit harder to grow than other platforms, because obviously it also requires more work. But I would say choose a channel that resonates with you, that has your target audience. So do it also in a smart way to help you. And then ideally you would have a short form content platform like X or LinkedIn, and a long form one like a newsletter or YouTube. But again, it depends where your audience is, and bearing that in mind, start there.
So on LinkedIn, since this is your recommended, what kind of content should they post? Like, should they just type something, or should they try and like visually try and get something in like a picture, or how should they tell their story there?
Remember, you are building your personal brand, right? Meaning that people, put a name to a face or a face to a name, and then they trust you because they see you, they like you, right? I know a lot of people are not comfortable with this, but my best advice is when you get started to add pictures with yourself, like selfies, or, rather than stock pictures or AI generated pictures that alienate so much of the people. Because if you think about it, that's the same thing. That's why for ads, user-generated content works the best, because it looks natural. It looks like you're shaking your camera, so having selfies, it just allow people to enter your word and shows who you are really. The best performing content is copy, so text and photo. And then it used to be carousels. Now that's slowing down. But what's coming up now in May in LinkedIn, which is going to be really interesting, it's short form video like TikTok and Reels. So that's going to be a feature that LinkedIn launched. So it's going to allow more content creation that's video related. But when you get started, I would say start with, image and text.
So they should jump in on LinkedIn now before that happens, so that when it happens, they can boom off with all of their content.
Well, it's going to be definitely more content there and more video content. So I'm curious if that's going to last, because before LinkedIn had this feature of stories. So you could just add stories, you could write something, and it would expire after, 24 hours or something like that. But it maybe lasted for a month. So I'm not sure how long or how this would be received. And I think they're also testing and trying to see how the public will accommodate this, and if they like the feature, if not. So we'll see from there.
I think it can bring a lot of new users to LinkedIn, possibly. But I think it can also be the fact that there's just so many short-form platforms already.
Yeah.
Like Instagram, YouTube is also doing it, X, TikTok.
That's what I said in the beginning, you cannot reinvent the wheel. So all these platforms, they have so many things in common, because if you see demand for a feature, why would you not add it to yours, right? So we'll see from there. I think it's the written content, it will still be a big thing. But if you think about it, you need to master writing before anything else, because even if you have a video, you need a script, right? And then even if you send email, you need copy. Your website, copy. So everything is learning how to write persuasively and impactful.
Where do you suggest people learn that skill? Where's the best place? Come to you or?
Well, of course. No, I mean, yeah, like this is what I teach really, but it depends. Like I tailor it for LinkedIn specifically. So if you're looking to grow on LinkedIn, yeah, I put this solution, together to help you exactly with that. Now, if you're looking to learn more about persuasion, I would start with, this is my favorite book, and I think it's the best book about writing persuasively and persuasion in psychology, which is Influence, the Art of Persuasion, I think it's called.
Okay.
Psychology of Persuasion, sorry. And then it's by Robert Cialdini. That's one of the best books I've read, and I always recommend it to people. Also, A Story Brand. I forgot who wrote this one. It's also really good. So yeah, I would start with those if you want to like learn on your own and find out more about it. But if you really want to get serious about it, I would recommend going for someone who already is there and learning from them. So the only reason I grew so fast and built a 27K follower community in 12 months was because I had a lot of like coaching, and I invested money in coaching, because without that, you would just be like walking in the dark, right? And yeah, you would figure things out, but it would take much longer.
How long do you suggest they should like continue posting until they can start to expect some results?
You don't stop. Like because if you stop, there's like, in growing on social media, input equals output. So if you do a little bit today and a little bit in a week, then your growth is just it's not gonna really happen the way you would like to. And then the good part about it is like a snowball effect. So it's compounding, right? The more effort you put, the more you grow, the faster you grow. But then afterwards, when you build that leverage, whatever you drop is just going to be much easier to go make it viral, to have people resonate, to get leads, right? So the hard work, I would say, is in the beginning until you start getting known in the industry. People start like knowing your name, seeing you around, trusting you, liking you, what I mentioned in the beginning. And afterwards, it becomes easier.
Yeah. So what would you say the time frame will be for, let's say they go full steam ahead, they post non-stop every single day, or how much ever is the recommended amount? How often do you suggest actually, before we continue with that question?
That really depends, because everyone is different. And then what works for me maybe doesn't work for you, and the other way around. So I would say, rather than aiming for quantity, aim for quality. So think about it realistically, like, okay, I'm going to commit to posting on LinkedIn or any social media platform. I want to post every day, so 7 days out of 7, but I don't really have the time for that. So 3 out of 7 posts will be just AI generated, or really like just, filler posts, which are the worst because they have no purpose. Rather than doing that, think about like, okay, realistically, what is it that I can commit to on an ongoing basis, sustainably for a long term, for a year, right? Is it 3 posts a week? Is it 4 posts a week? Rather have that. I would say like minimum is 3, because you still want to be top of mind. And if you post once a week, it's not going to do anything. But you don't need to go crazy and post every day if this is not something that time allows you. If you have the time, do it. But if you don't, rather focus on posting regularly and being consistent, and be consistently good, not consistently bad.
At what level of like amount of followers, for example, on LinkedIn, should they, if they don't have a specific idea for why they have this story content, at what point should they actually find a way to monetize that?
So I would say, first, when you get started, don't look for monetizing, look for growth. So look for building an audience. As I said in the beginning, first give, then take, or then ask, right? So look for building relationships, send connection requests, generally personalize all the invites you send out, have coffee chats with people if this is something you like, jump in a 10-minute call, find out about them, engage a lot. That's a really, really big thing in growth. Doesn't matter if you have the best content in the world, if you don't have a support system that will help you grow, a network. And don't forget that LinkedIn, it's a networking platform. It was built for that, and it still is that. It's going to be really hard. So the first step is to build an audience. So don't focus on money, don't focus on sales, focus on growth, focus on delivering value, getting people to know you, trust you, like you, and then you can monetize. So I would say focus in the first 2 months only on growth. And then little by little, like you have the content funnel, so you have top of the funnel, middle and bottom, just like in sales. And then you have different types of content that goes in different types of different parts of the funnel, right? So then later on, I would say keep a balance between top, middle, bottom. So aim to, for the top, inspire people, for the middle, educate people, and from the bottom, persuade people. But don't go only with persuasion or only, like educating if you also want to monetize. Yeah. So if you're posting 3 times a week, just have top, middle, bottom. And then if you're posting more, think about where you want to focus on. If you want to focus on more growth, post more top. And if you want to focus more on, leads, post more bottom. And if you want to focus more on authority and building that trust, educate more and focus on middle.
How much do you post at the moment? Personally,
I post Monday, Friday, so 5 times.
Oh, okay. Monday to Friday. I thought you said Monday and Friday.
No, from Monday to Friday.
Okay. And how's your structure at the moment? Is it just whatever you think, or do you have a specific way of today you post this, tomorrow you post that?
So it depends, because your brand grows with you, and the goals change as your business grows, your business changes, right? So now, because I'm launching the second version of my program, I'm focusing more on leads. So I will have a heavier push towards, if you're looking for help, this is what I do. But I do a mix of middle of the funnel and bottom of the funnel. So even those posts are lead generation, I still give a lot of value in them, where I educate people of, this is why you're not growing on LinkedIn. You're doing this, stop doing this, try these things out. And then I put a call to action at the end. So to answer your question, I focus now on middle and bottom of the funnel, and I have some top of the funnel. Okay. But that's because I already grew, and it's much easier to grow through any kind of content that I post. So I'm not starting from scratch. Yeah.
Nice. It's interesting. Oh, you mentioned to me once the one client that you had.
Yes. So yeah, there are actually 2 of them. One is, I still do a little bit of ghostwriting, but I kept it in a way where if I really resonate with the person, I do it, because it's like in a relationship, If it's a match made in heaven, everything is smooth and easy. If not, it's just going to be complicated and back and forth and hard. So no, the client I was telling you, he is the CEO of a big e-com company, an 8-figure company. And yeah, it was really humbling to start helping him, empowering him to tell his story. And then, once you start chatting, you realize, oh my God, there's so many amazing stories. And yeah, that's one of the examples of, how powerful a story can be, and how easy it is to get that overlooked and be like, oh, people would not care about that. People would not care how I started this. But actually, through those stories, he also realized, well, I have so much value to offer to others. I can help so many people to grow. And in his case, he's not looking to monetize. He's looking to build that audience, to build that leverage, to build that brand, and to really, help people make an impact. And I think that when you don't have the pressure of selling, you can even be way more authentic, because you're not looking to take anything, you're just giving, right? And then it opens a way more space and expansion for your brand and ideas.
So are you helping him with more ghostwriting or more coaching?
No, it's just coaching. I just coach him,
If any of them wanted to reach out to you to make use of your services, how and where? Obviously LinkedIn.
Yeah, I actually don't have a website, which is funny. I never had one.
Do you want one?
No, I don't have. It was not needed, because once I built my brand, everyone would come through that. So yeah, it's LinkedIn, it's Batteries Vladut, VLADUT.
We'll leave it down below as well.
Yeah.
In the description.
Just reach out, say hi. Any questions you had about what we talked here, you can leave it, I believe, below as well. Happy to answer, or drop me a message on LinkedIn. Happy to connect, happy to say hi. And yeah, I hope more people would, start showing up and start stepping out of the shadow and shine their light and tell their stories. It's amazing to see that, because this is how we get, empowered and learn from each other. And, what they say, your network is your net worth. And that's so true. Without people, it's so hard to reach anything in
Yeah.
life because we are social animals.
Would you say people should look at it as a business thing or try and keep it as like personal as possible?
It's both really. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, on how much I'm saying about storytelling and everything, like I grew and scale my business through LinkedIn and through content. So look at it as a form of marketing, but authentic marketing, like organic marketing, the one that's not pushing people to anything, but it
Yeah.
kind of allows them to see and step for themselves of like, okay, I like you, I want to work with you, right? So that's the best way because the quality of leads that come from organic, it's much higher because people are just stepping towards you. They're taking a step to you rather than you chase them and buy my thing, right?
Yeah, I agree. So cool. If any of you want to jump on LinkedIn and want to build a personal brand, Pia is the perfect person to help you with that. Or if you just want to follow along on her journey on LinkedIn, you can also do that. I'm also on LinkedIn, but I'm not nearly as active as Pia. So
Yet.
maybe in the future. I think as you said, the video editing is taking a lot of the time out of my
true.
day, not allowing me to, but I do enjoy the video a bit more. That's my personal thing.
And that's so important.
Yeah.
If you like it, it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
And I feel that with writing. But if you ask me to edit a video, oh my God, I would rather just do anything else.
Rather go for a high dose session.
Yeah. Another High Rocks one, yeah. Try my first one today, really hard. I'm trying to get Daniel for the next one.
I'll see. I'm not so keen on cardio. So the running was like, maybe for the rest, I'll sit out for the running and then, kidding, no, can't do that. I'll give it a try some point.
Yes, there we go. That's the attitude.
So thank you for tuning in, everyone. We enjoyed having all of you here. Tomorrow, all 1 million of our followers is going to hit up via in a LinkedIn.
Waiting for you guys, waiting for you to say hi.
Just don't spam it, please. Okay. Not nearly that much. Surprisingly, our YouTube podcast is doing better than all the podcasts combined on all the other platforms. So
Wow.
the video is actually doing, like,
Yeah.
we're getting, I think we got like 120 something views on our last podcast video upload.
Well
and
done.
our total plays on all the other platforms is like 105 or something.
Yeah, video is king.
So it's a massive difference. But yes, it's surprising because podcast is supposed to be just speech. But I guess maybe YouTube is just so much bigger that it's doing so much better. So thanks again.
That's very nice.
Thank you for coming.
My
and
pleasure. Thanks for
taking
having
time
me.
out of your day. I know you're busy. as you were.
This was really fun, and I had a great time chatting to you. And yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Before we cut off, I just want to tell you guys, Bia, she's working until like, or I usually used to work at like 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning. And then she was still there at like every day until 1 in the morning. So I admired that. And that's how we basically met as well.
The only crazy people staying in the night and working crazy hours.
So you can clearly see who's the hard workers and who's not. We work at nighttime. And there's like a little bit of a commute, not a lot, but a little bit, like everyone knows, like this is the late hour.
The late crew,
kind of,
yeah. Well, for me personally, it's like because it's more quiet and there's not so much back and forth. I get easily distracted.
Yeah.
And where everything is shot in the night, like there are not so many people.
Yeah.
I feel like I can tune in better. But I guess you have the same thing with the 5 a.m. club and people that they wake up at 4 to start their workday at 5.
Yeah. Yes.
I would just rather stay later.
Same. So, once again, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Until next time. Cheers.